Good. It's still the morning. Good morning to everybody. How's everyone doing today? That's good. Glad to hear it. All right. So we'll get into the market. I figured I had to hop on to stream after our private stream this morning because there's just too much. Whoa, that's a little bit. Whoa, hello there. Yeah, because obviously some cool stuff's happening. This is kind of a little bit of what we talked about last week, but it just didn't come to fruition. Kind of happening today. Figures the day that I don't stream publicly. But yeah, we're going to get into all of it. We probably have a bounce coming here on the market, just an FYI. Don't take that as like a guarantee. Just jump in everything. I still would have to use my brain a little bit more, but we are coming into some levels that sometimes work as good bounce spots after a big sell-off like this. So we're kind of tracking right here. Delete these guys because they're going to get all weird when I go into the next chart. So arguably, again, you're looking at SPY for maybe little bottom bouncing somewhere in this area. Usually it's never so straightforward on big sell-off days because, again, you're basically like catching the bottom of a selling market. So unless the levels that you're picking are, legit, then it's just you're going to get crushed anyway. So, but we are coming into some levels and kind of a zone there. We could probably see a little bit of bottom bouncing. So anyways, we'll get into all this stuff here. That being said, doing a bottom bounce is definitely going against the trend today. It's not like you're buying the dip in an uptrend. You're actually buying an oversold bounce in a downtrend. All right. So we're going to get into all this. Timber. Yeah. So where do we start? So really, let's just get you up to speed real fast on what's going on. All right. So it's actually the title. If you read the title of today's video, then you know exactly what's going on. All right. The VIX triggered a buy signal, which resulted in an SPY and SPX sell signal. So this is exactly what we talked about last week. This is pretty much, what we implied a little bit of going into this morning. I was a little on edge this morning. It was actually a little confused to start the morning once the market opened because nothing was quite making perfect sense. Then once it started to kind of make sense, I'm like, okay, yeah, we're going to sell off. But it took a while for even me to kind of get on board today with the market. So here we're going through the bounce. Again, we're kind of hitting the first level of my zone that I could think bounces. And we also have a gap fill on the VIX, which just filled. I don't want to say it just filled, but we did have a little gap fill all the way back down to 1409 to 1407 on the VIX. So the VIX had a reason to pull back there as we come into some bounce levels on the SPY. As far as the target on this bounce, the 1 minute retrace would first look towards is going to be probably just hit. So right there would be our first target on the bounce. So if you traded that bounce here on the live stream, that would be your target for the micro scalp long back to this 1 minute trend. Actually, it would have been the one prior to that, but either way, so it really would have been a target here. So you would be scalping back to this zone. There's kind of a lot going on, so I'm trying to just press it all into one right now. But anyway, so there's that little scalp long target. And this is only the top side of the zone, which means it still has the potential of even getting to the low side and then doing another bounce, but that's another story. Whew, I mean, there's a lot here. So yeah, I mean, I'll just kind of start from the beginning. All right, so let's bring this chart over. All right. So I will say to start the day, I was slightly confused about whether or not we were going to pull the market back or if it was a little too soon. Eventually I was able to get on board. It's for sure going to come down pretty much. But we'll start here. So today it was the volatility index that first signaled to us we had to be basically expecting the market could put in a top, but it might have been a little too soon. So we'll start with this. And this is exactly what I talked about in the private stream this morning. All right. So we're going to go like this. So let's take the VIX. Ready? So read the title. VIX triggered buy signal. All right. Ready? So when was the last time the VIX was uptrending? Let's go to a 30-day chart here. So the last time the volatility index was in a buy signal was back here. Ready? So let's say we were back then, right? Market was coming down, and you go to Connor, and he comes in, hey guys, the VIX has transitioned positive the 30-minute. We could be looking at a buy signal on the VIX, or this is where the volatility can start increasing. As a result, you can top the market if we get follow through, all right? So then fast forward all the way to here. We've been going through a downtrend, downtrend, downtrend. I was streaming last week with you guys when the market was right here, flirting with the buy signal. And I'm like, hey guys, be on edge. We might pull the market back here. We're starting to flip it. So we might be looking to pull the market back. Wasn't quite ready then. Today, it broke back over the buy signal trend, and it went positive and led to a breakout. And as a result, your markets have come down, okay? So this morning when we log in and we get online, we basically look at where the 50 SMA is, and we go, okay, so the market has broken out the 50 SMA. It has a big gap up, so it's a little overbought. We're going to, first look for the market to pull back to the 50 SMA, which it did not do. It shied a little bit. But your first instinct, whenever you get a breakout, is always backtest to try to confirm support. So this essentially did not totally backtest support, but it ultimately broke out, pushed up, pulled back, and then confirmed and stayed on the breakout, all right? And that's where the 30-minute chart transitions into an uptrend today on the VIX, all right? I actually had to double check something real quick. Did we hit the 2 hour? Or did we get to the 2 hour? Not quite. So that would arguably be next on deck. Okay. So, yeah, we target to, let me get back to this chart here. All right. So that's pretty much it. This morning we wake up, we see the volatility index that went into an uptrend. So the first thoughts would be, grand scheme of things, we could be pulling the market back. In the immediate, we stayed at, and actually, for those of you that are in chat listening, that were in the private group, the first thing we recommended was you have to watch long bias into the open while we try to do the pullback, which was this, right? So let's take this off. That's a lot. I don't need to draw that many times. I hate when I do that, but then I always end up doing it. So again, this morning when we woke up and we saw that the VIX was a little high, we suggested you have to kind of watch long bias the morning pre-market into the open because we're attempting to pull the VIX downwards to support. And then as we get towards support, then you kind of have to identify, is the VIX going to stay positive? Does it flip back negative? If it flips negative, the market will stay long. If it stays positive, then the market basically can go down. All right. So this morning we triggered a buy signal on the volatility index. All right. Now, since we triggered a buy signal on the volatility index, this has allowed your markets to come down. Okay. Again, we hit support down here. Again, it's a support that very much most of the entire planet doesn't watch and doesn't know about. I can guarantee it. So that's why it's working, because most people don't know it exists, right? So that's, again, why the support bounce is working off the lows. That's why I told you to watch for a bounce here, because if you're shorting into that, again, that's not a good idea. Anyways, so yeah, we just hit some support down there. We're obviously bouncing it. You know, am I surprised? No. This was also the short target we mentioned about 30 minutes ago, and I will bring this up in Discord real quick. You will see somewhere in here. So this is our private group in Discord today. Basically, you will see that I start adding, you know, this was I don't think, yeah, so. Though I don't say, hey, look down here, because we're on stream and we're talking about it. So these pictures may not come with, you know, explanations, because the explanation is done in voice. But you can see we kind of have that box mapped off down there anyways. So that becomes a target for us. Oh, CD trades. I forgot to check gold for you. So hopefully you're in the YouTube stream. If you are, let me know, and then I'll go over gold for you. So, yep. That's that. All right. So yeah, I mean, basically we just triggered a buy signal on the VIX today. That allowed us to pull the market back, enough so that we entered a sell signal on the market, and we're able to use that as some short-term down selling to then retrace the market back to a support, which is this blue box, and now we're doing the counter long off the blue box. Does that all make sense? Right? Yeah? Okay. But yeah. So again, it's a fun day because... And actually, this morning, it started off, again, a little slow, a little choppy, a little confused, and I didn't even think we were going to pick up this much, and then we did. So, like, sometimes the market can kind of just hand out something. out of the blue. And I wouldn't even say it's out of the blue because, again, this morning you were literally signaled on the VIX to be careful of the market. So if we do go back to the VIX for just a handy dandy second, remember the VIX broke over the 50 SMA at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. So at 3 in the morning, you already knew that you should be kind of like on edge with the market because the volatility index is signaling that we could break out. And if we do, what's going to happen to your market? It's going to go down. So it was less of the market being bearish today. It was more of the VIX seeing something the market didn't already tell us. And that's the objective of the volatility index, right? The volatility index is supposed to basically give you, expected volatility, right? Foresight, expected, implied volatility to the market. So though the market may not have said, hey, it's going to be an instant short, a slam down today, the VIX was basically waving its hand in class going, hey, pick me, be careful, guys. So it's not like the signals weren't there today. It was a matter of just getting the follow through, which took a little bit for even me and Brandon to kind of get on board with today. But yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, so CD, I'll take a look at gold here in just a second. So, C-Work, also thanks for tuning in, guys. Appreciate that. C-Work, it depends. It's all dependent on like what anchor you're using, but hold on real quick. Let me take this off the screen. I want to go back here. I got to use my brain again. So we are getting close to a good target for that long. All right. So I would say you're basically at a good spot to lock profit on this long move if you're thinking intraday stuff. There's always the flip side. Again, I'm not here, it's like I would love to say that the long's going to keep going, but I just know that this is a good spot to lock in some profit if you've ridden the whole thing. So that's a good spot. Let me just double check SPX. Yeah, SPX is a good spot to lock. They're all lining up. It's all lining up. You should basically lock your intraday long off that low there. And then there might even be a nice little sell short here too. But again, I'm doing all of this without analyzing market internals in real time. I'm just kind of mentioning them. But that's a good spot to lock on the long. Again, there's still some potential that we're going to see this long even boost up into about 605.81 here, so on and so forth. Yeah. So that's good stuff. The market internals, the FANG, they're going up right now. So right now the market is going up, it's bouncing, it makes sense. You're not really, as long as the FANG's gonna hold up there, then this bounce is gonna be okay. It's already went quite a bit, so this is kind of, I would basically say, if we're gonna get a little bit of a resistance and a pullback here, then the FANG names are gonna have to chill out. I don't think they're gonna do a full-blown reset today. That just seems a little, but it is a good support. Hold on. I gotta use my brain some. Sometimes I'm just on stream and I'm just trying to get everything out so quickly because there's just so much right now. Especially because, I didn't start on stream with you guys today. So it's like you'd have to backtrack everything already. But let me just take a second to myself and just think a little more. I mean, it's a great support. I mean, you're basically coming off a stronger support. That's the question. The question is the support we just picked stronger than the intraday micro stuff? That's always kind of the question. So, again, you kind of have to keep letting this work. The market internals aren't really bearish right now, so you're not going to be able just to pick this top short bias. Again, you don't really have any downside movement on the NASDAQ 100. So again, it's going to be the FANG have to kind of get bearish here, and then you'll see this kind of put in a little top and whatever. So that's kind of some small minuscule stuff, but that's what I was saying is this support, you have to kind of lock some profit here if you're trading intraday stuff. If you're going for a swing trade and you thought it'd be great, that'd be another story. But if you're going from a long down here where the recommendation was, and then you've held it all the way up here, for an intraday trade, that's phenomenal. All right, and I would say you gotta take a little bit there. Yeah. So just to reiterate, we've just pretty much got a volatility index buy signal that threw the market down initially, and then some of the equities in the market started going bearish, and then we got yanked. So, yeah, good stuff. Let me just double check NVIDIA. And I would say a lot of it might have been built off the NVIDIA gap down today. Microsoft is, that's funny, Microsoft's going up, just spanking. Google's going up, Amazon's going kind of up. Meta's getting spanked. Meta's helping the bounce. So it's a lot of Meta. Meta's role is very, Meta's role is very consistent with today's market. Its bounce is very consistent with today's SPX bounce. So yeah. Easy win. We're back. Well. I know. Once I saw your message on Twitter, I was like, I gotta go onto Twitter, or I have to go onto YouTube today. So again, this is, I'll add the second piece to it, which is if the SPY and SPX really start getting acceptance above here, it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's like a grade A. It's never really a grade A thing, but the best way I can explain it is today's sell move on the SPY started here. Now that might sound stupid because you'll see that it really started up here and then dropped all the way to here. So let's say it like this. Ready? This is the first time I've done this, taught it this way. This should be pretty good. This should be good stuff. All right. So I'm going to take a box and we're going to change the color of it so it's not blue, but we'll say from here to here, that box, and I'm going to change this color of the box. Ready? Look at the color change. We'll just change it to orange. Sure. All right, so this box here, I would say, and this isn't going to be entirely correct, but as opposed, for the way that I view the market and would teach it to you, this would make sense. That this orange box is, this drop was based off the VIX. VIX buy signal. All right. Once the VIX buy signal going up and volatility increasing allowed the markets to come down. So much so that once the market got below this yellow line from here to here, and I'll change this color. Shit, come on. I'm going to change this to red. Now, once we got below this yellow line, that's where it's now the SPY sell signal. Okay. And then what you're seeing here, I'll add another box here, this bounce, which we've taken from there to there. We'll do that, and we'll change this to green. And then this bounce that you're seeing from here to here is, we're going to say, number one, boiler room trading support, BRT support, which was old buy signal volume shelf. Okay. Wait, yeah, it's good. So that's like a, so what you're seeing is like there's like three different strategies. There's more than three different strategies here, but each box you could say is a portion or a piece or almost each strategy in its own helping make the price action today. All right, so we started with a buy signal on the VIX. That is, so again, think like this. When the buy signal starts on the VIX, volatility increases. That puts the market on edge. So while the VIX is going through a buy signal going up, the market is slowly decreasing. It decreased so much that it came out of the orange box. So the VIX did its job in taking the market down far enough to then signal the red box, which is a short or a sell signal on the SPY. And then you see it tanks all the way down to, we'll call this old support or BRT or boiler room trading support. Hence, long the oversold bottom. Okay. So we use the VIX to break the market down to old support and bounce. Cheers. All right, good stuff. You guys like that? That yummy? I hope so. All right, so I'm gonna just take off like these yellow random lines. Okay, good stuff, good stuff. Wow, I should just do this. Perfect. There we go. Yummy info. Is that a robe giving Hugh Hefner vibes? Actually, yes. It is is it a robe? Yeah, it's a robe. That's what they call these, right? Yeah. I decided to put a robe on today and chill. So yeah, we're just relaxing. We're just relaxing here. All right. So I will cover kind of this portion of it. So you know how we talked about, well, it's probably too soon for that. 100. Let me bring that up on a different. I don't even know if I have that. Whoa. What? Kind of there. Let's see. SPY 100 EMA. Nice, Brian. Oh yeah, let's go over gold first. Let me bring up gold on a different chart here, though. I was gonna say the levels that you're getting at on the SPY, you've already bounced, but pretty much everyone that's been short this morning since the SPX and SPY sell signal, they've all been stopped out. All right, pretty much. So I'll do this real quick and then we'll go to gold. But again, if you think about where the sell signal started, so right here, the SPY, the arrow that I'm pointing to, and then I'm going to put this little text here, sell signal start. All right. We know that we were bearish the market earlier from this point because we're in a sell signal. And if we look at the volume weighted average price of that sell signal start and this bounce, who's left in the market that started? No one, right? So most people didn't catch the breakdown. Most people didn't short the back test. Most people didn't short the top of this back test. If anything, they shorted lows, shorted on the way down, etc. We squeezed them all out of the market on that bounce. Okay. All right, now we're going to go over and take a peek at some gold stuff. First here, gold. Yeah, so gold's been up a little bit, but then it pulled back. Gold is just based off the 1-year trend, a little bit below fair value. You never really see gold get bought up too much. It's pretty consistent. So right now, gold is on the lower side of standard deviation, which means theoretically it's on sale, but not really. Let's go to the 1-year. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of riding the mean. So you kind of had a little bit of a reversal pattern here too. So again, you can see we set in a low below this guy. So therefore, it's kind of a lower high scenario it's trying. All right. And then again, when you look at the 30-minute system, which this is, it still works, but it's just gold does a lot of gapping, so it kind of looks a little goofy. What am I doing? Yeah, 30-minute, 10-day. Well, let's go a little more like, let's do like 30 days. So yeah, gold basically just did a little bit of a buy signal overnight, right? So you can kind of see down here, gold during that morning pre-market broke the 30, went long. Then this morning, that night it gapped down, broke down the 50 SMA, went into a sell move, and then it's kind of been chopping ever since. Just yesterday, it gapped up, went over. And if we do this, right, if we put a horizontal line right there at 243.86, and then we flip this back to, well, I could just do it over here instead of flipping that screen. So let's do this. We'll go here, GLD. All right. So look at where the 50 SMA is at. So again, if you zoom in here, 50 SMA is probably, it's actually, yeah, it's actually a little lower. It's like right there. But so the 50 SMA would be priced again down here, right where those lines are at. So this is pretty much what you see is gold gets bought up, back test, breaks it, comes back over, and then right there it becomes a long. So gold's been in a long signal this morning since, 1 in the morning when most of you guys are sleeping. Again, most of the good stuff, I don't want to say good stuff, but a lot of these important levels will be breached when you're sleeping because obviously, right? Why would we create perfect setups that work easily when everyone can get on board? They usually do this stuff overnight, especially on the gold market. So yeah, that would be gold there. All right, so right now we basically have the SPX and whatnot coming into 5-minute trend resistance. Same thing with SPX. So also, if you look at SPX, this is where the sell signal start was this morning. All right, so if we did the whole same spiel, it would be this here was built off the back of the VIX going down. Then this next box would be the sell signal on the SPX. And then this next box would be the oversold support bounce back to intraday trend. Okay. If you guys have any questions about this stuff, feel free. I'll answer it, obviously. Actually, I will, give me a second. I will be right back. Promise, I'll be right back. All right, I'm back on. I'm back. We're gonna go like a this. We're gonna add this guy like a that, and then we're gonna take this guy out like a that, and we're gonna take this guy out like a that. Hold on, I'm gonna figure out what we got coming next. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. That's SPX. We could do that on SPX. Let's go. All right, so looking at SPX, we're gonna take this guy. So, yeah, it's debatable, but yeah, I mean, arguably, we're looking for a retrace even down to here. Right there, I'll change this real quick. Settings, make it red. There we go. Again, we're arguably looking for a pullback down to here. And if we don't get the pullback to here right away, it's usually because it's getting, obviously not going there, and it's getting caught up prior to. But I would imagine we've already taken out some of that stuff. So if you look here, we took that guy out, and then we also took out, we're going to fight this one here for a second. So we took this guy out. So yeah, we should be getting down to here. Pretty close. You know, even if it shies, that's totally fine. Let's just double check the SPY, because SPY could have led the move. So we're going to double check here. And we're going to double check that guy. So yeah, that's arguably, we didn't quite get it there, but yeah, you know what I'm saying. So we're getting pretty close to that micro short target after the bounce. Okay. The VIX does have some gap fills back to the upside to the price of 1393. If it goes up, gets that, we're obviously going to go down, get this target, probably even a little bit lower. So we'll just say this is the 1 minute. Damn it. Learn how to type. It's because I type so much, and I send so many messages throughout the day, whether it be on the screen, into Discord, messages, that me and typing, or it's just like I don't care to go back and fix it. Now I know it's like, well, you should do that, but you know, I should do that. I'm even too lazy to use Grammarly. I literally have Grammarly. It's like, you spelled this wrong, and I'm like, send. And then if for whatever reason we take out the 1 minute, we're going to transition down to the 5 minute. Okay, so we're going to take this, we're going to go 5 minute. And then there would be a little target Magooski on there. All right. So let's go back, double check SPX. So not quite there, obviously. Hit this, boom, boom, like that. Sometimes you got to think outside the box or inside the box. L7 weenie. How's Bitcoin doing? Bitcoin is holding the support we said it would hold for the moment. Well, you know, but it's okay. So right now we basically have targets on Bitcoin. Where's the other one? To here, or about there. But oh, there it is, right there. So the other thing too is this is it. It's arguably a target and a bounce level right there. So we're only going to get these guys, and it's always funny kind of saying it because it's like obviously you're going to get these targets if the price goes down, like duh, right? But currently we have this spot right here which can hold a bounce, which it is. So we're going to obviously need this low to get taken and that support first. But yeah. I don't really cover the futures and ES and stuff just because whatever levels it is on the SPY, it's whatever it translates to on the E. Sometimes, yes, I do look at the ES and stuff like that, but I mainly do most of my work off of the SPY or the QQQ. Mainly the SPY, but also QQQ or SPX. And so most of the stuff that I look at and work off of is going to be SPX, QQQ, things like that. All right. So it looks like we got a little bit of a bounce, obviously, and not really. I don't want to say obviously, but you know. And then like even this. Oh, don't go back. Yeah, like even this. All right. So we're just creating a lower high from the last breakdown. All right. So if we anchor this bad boy up here, bing, bang, boom, just like that. So, and you could even take this one up, you know, if you wanted to. You could take it up a little higher, things like that. You can even do the extreme high if you wanted to. But anyway, so you're just basically doing a little bit of a micro back test here off the high. And so if we can complete that lower high here, then we roll down into the 1 minute target. And then the last thing to do would basically be take out anybody who bought this last dip. So, you know, you don't have to do all this. I'm just kind of showing you, right? So then all you'd have to really do is take out this last dip low, volume weighted average price. So you see how you're now flirting with the volume weighted average price of everyone who bought this dip. So if you can take that out, that's usually where you have better luck to kind of seal the deal down. But anyway, so current Bitcoin target analysis in the short term as well, I think is basically going down. Well, I don't want to say basically going down, but the targets are to here and here next if we fail this support. So you can see the market has sold off into this support, right? First attempt into support, so you don't bet they're going to break down. You bet they're going to hold. There's your long-term level bouncing on the micro scale, right? So you've taken what this here is what I would call a daily level. And I don't think it's the best daily level, but anyways, it's a daily level. So I would use this daily level as a support, right? So this is support bounce. And so you're using a stronger daily level, and as a result, you're putting in a bounce. But that bounce is really only being reflected on the small time frame, which is like a 1-5 minute right here. All right. This could be a situation where you're seeing like a 1 minute Fibonacci cycle, right? So like if you look at that, like you have a bounce on the daily chart, but the only sort of higher low structure that may have changed is like a 1 minute, maybe a 5 minute. All right. So it's like, you know, if this bounce held decent enough and sequenced out, then you would see like a 161 here, right? At the same time, if you were to fib out the move, if you wanted to fib this leg out from like a high to a low here, it's just going to be a 50% retrace, right? So the same 161 long target of this little micro setup would simply just be the 50% retrace of the back test of the previous sell leg. So again, you can see how the computers and the algorithms have set up a 161 micro long target to the same level as the previous bigger leg 50% retrace, you know. So a lot of times the stuff will line up like that. And that's merely just for like the purposes of teaching a little bit of Fibonacci stuff. But again, regardless of that, ultimately, you know, you can kind of see how this market is rolling a bit. So we're just going to make this the midway point, Alt V, that bad boy. So that's pretty much the midway point of this move. So I'll just go like from this leg up, midway point, double top, now down. So these are all of my like target short slash target short slash kind of like bounce spots for the moment. So, and the only way I can explain it is short targets are long entries. So like whatever you think a sell target can be is a lot of times also going to be the bounce spot, right? So this is one target. This is a daily level, so we'll see how it's already bouncing. We'll see how much further it's got. And then obviously if the bounce gets shooken off and fails and we snap out, then I would just assume we go down to here to 96,400. And if that bounces and creates a lower high and then we go down, I would assume we can even go down to there, right? But as the market sells into each one of those levels, you have to kind of assume that it can still hold as a support. Even if the formation looks pretty garbage, like you can see right now the formation on Bitcoin seems relatively bearish if you're just looking at the way the chart looks over the past, you know, couple days, right? You can clearly see up, fail, down, rolling down, right? You can see, you know, the price action is going that way. So, you know, it's a matter of does the price keep moving in that direction, or does the price, for whatever reason, get supported and stop moving in that direction? So for me, all of those levels that maybe we would see that bearish move kind of stop and then get pushed in the opposite direction, you know, are arguably these levels going down. And each one can be stronger or weaker than the next, so on and so forth. The YouTube stream, I don't know how long wait. Hold on. Well, I don't think the YouTube stream... Oh, wait, there is... Wait. See, like right now I have stream latency on the ultra low latency. So I currently have the YouTube stream set to what should be the fastest streaming to you. So yeah. Yeah, so the long-term sell targets for Bitcoin right now are going to be anywhere from 43,000. Well, again, it's going to be like, it depends, but 45,000, 50,000, 60,000. And the reason I'm saying all of those prices is because the price is going to update. So, you know, I could foresee it being a year. Well, when I say year, it's really like, let me think, 300. Then 450, so it's 750. So I could be saying the long-term sell target we won't see for 750 to 800 days, arguably. So it's less about where the target is now, but it's more about where it's going to be in the future, 700 to 800 days from now. So the price will change based on how the price of Bitcoin moves. But I'm projecting 750, 800 days from now. Let me double check that math. 300 plus 300 at the top. 400. Yeah, so it's anywhere from 750 to 800 days from now. So you got 2 years, 6, yeah, so a little more than 2 years from now. So it's like saying the price now is almost silly because I know it's going to be different. But if my thoughts, so say it was, again, say we just had an 800, say it was 800 days from now and all of a sudden the market's going down, like, yes, right now the target would be like 44,000. But the reality is 800 days from now it's going to change. So I think the next big market dip, and again, this is all based off of cycles repeating and cycles, rhyming to the past, then yeah, I mean, basically you'd be looking at getting along the Bitcoin market in 800 days, 750 days, right? Yeah. Does that continue to repeat? I mean, we'll see. And we'll see in 800 days, right? Do the cycles keep repeating? Does the bear market last like another 100 to 300 days or so? I mean, we'll see in 100 to 300 days from now, right? Do they rhyme exactly like the past? I mean, no, they won't, because none of them have, but they have similarities. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of thoughts there, and I'm really excited about it. Yeah, so again, like, I think we do have quite a bit of time on, the current market we're in, and then also quite a bit of time before we'll see a long-term sell target. Yeah. I assume the Bitcoin market cycles we've seen will not continue to last forever. Yeah, I don't think they will. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think they will. Because again, as soon as a lot of these ideas and things that do work become too mainstream, they're not going to work. Also, the thought would be is like, if really Bitcoin just lives on for forever, right? And then let's just take it from, make it more popular, more money's involved and governments are involved and this and that. It's like, then like any, I mean? It's just like, if it becomes like that, then I just don't think the past cycles will repeat. I think they would become more disrupted, and there would be, I just think, become more disrupted, and then it would be less predictable, personally, than what you may think it is now. So yeah, the more mainstream it becomes, probably the less predictable it becomes, to a degree. But I guess I really don't know. Time will tell. Time will tell. But yes, 800 days from now. Sometimes, yes. Sometimes I use bands, upper bands, lower bands on a volume weighted average price. I do. Kind of depends, but I kind of find them to be a little slightly busy, in the sense that there's only particular situations where I'd want to use them, so they don't go on like every single VWAP that I use. Also because like, when you are going to use an upper band or a lower band, it generally is going to come in the form of the market getting through the middle band. So for some longer stuff, I definitely don't use the middle band or like the upper band, because it only becomes relevant once the middle band's broken. So, that was dumb to say. That was more confusing than it needed to be. It's just, yes, I do use them, but not on every VWAP. All right, so I'm going to bring this back over to the old VIX Master, the SPY. All right, so again, we got the VIX coming down. I assume the market is probably going to stay kind of holding this bounce and holding this low for the moment. It kind of already is, obviously. But we do because we have reasons for the VIX to come down, arguably, all the way back to 1359. So maybe like another 10 cents, well, less than 10 cents, but about another 8 cents down or so for the VIX. And as a result, the market can kind of stay hanging up. And let's get back into this 5 minute. Let's go back here. Again, we are, there's a lot on this screen, but I'll just delete some stuff. I was kind of having fun earlier. But yeah, so again, right now, the market's kind of staying up. We have the VIX with a little bit of a gap fill there. Nothing too crazy has happened. Actually, I got to double check something else here. Mm-hmm. SPX. Mm-hmm. Settings. I mean, yeah, arguably we're gonna. I don't know if it's gonna happen today. I mean, I guess it could, but yeah, I'm not even gonna talk like that. But again, we have retrace levels all the way back up to like 6,075, and it's not even really a retrace. I mean, it is, but it's more or less, when, if not when, or when not if. I guess it's really not that far off, but. Henry, doing well. How will how would it ever be a currency if it's only an investment? So I mean, yeah, how will it ever be a currency if it's only an investment? I mean, that's currently the way that it's being used. I mean, it's being used both ways. It's being used as a store of value and a means of exchange. Like, it's already happening. It's not happen. Well, yeah, I mean, it's not like you go out every single day and see someone using Bitcoin, but it's already happening, right? If I wanted to send you $20 in Bitcoin, I can do it. So it is a means of exchange. And there's a lot of people, like in underdeveloped nations, that are using it, and they may not have access to internet or computers, and so on and so forth, and so they're actually sending it through like text message and radio signal, and so Bitcoin is facilitating currency and currency exchange and a means of exchange in underdeveloped places via cell phones and text messages and radio signal. So it's in their market, you won't see such things, right? Everyone's got a banking app here, and or at least I don't know where you're at, but United States, it's most people aren't sending Bitcoin through a phone via text message and radio signal like that. But and when I say radio signal, it's not even correct. It's really just again through text message. So, anyways, it's already being used as a means of exchange. Now you could argue. Now the other argument, not you, but the other argument really is. Yeah, if everyone just holds it as an investment and isn't changing hands, then it's not really being used as a currency, right? Totally true. Now, just because, and then again, there's a lot of people back in the day that would take a bunch of cash and then just put it in their safe, right? And then just hold it. So the dollars are always being exchanged, but there was also a bunch of people saving them and holding them. So those were not being used amongst the day-to-day circulation, right? Every single currency in the world that's currently being exchanged is also being saved. So, I invest my dollars to hopefully have more dollars, right? So I have dollar currency that I invest or I save in the hopes of having more dollar currency. So I have Bitcoin currency and I'm holding it in my wallet because I'm saving my currency that maybe one day I can use and it will be more currency. So there's really no difference between people holding their Bitcoin than the way people have always put cash in their mattress or cash in a bank. You see what I'm saying? Now, there's probably a stronger idea of an investment in Bitcoin than there is the dollar, because we know that they inflate the dollar away. So you can't really hold your dollars nowhere with the thought of return, because we know the opposite is currently in effect by purposeful implementation by design. So I have to take my dollars and buy Apple stock, or I have to take my dollars and go buy a house that hopefully appreciates. So because of the way the current fiat designed system is, you can't just take dollars and hold them and get more dollars, because the system inflates in the opposite direction. It takes from you. So you're forced to then take the dollars and deploy them elsewhere in the hopes that they keep going up, right? So Bitcoin currently, however you want to see it, let's just say we actually expect Bitcoin's going to go down. There's no difference of buying Bitcoin and holding it and watching it go down 2% a year than there is with dollars. So you're really just picking and choosing what currency you want to have. So I mean, I hope that helps. And it's not really to just go out and say Bitcoin's the best thing ever. It's really just to, once you just view it as a currency just like any others, I mean, realistically, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, there's a lot of differences, but again, it's really like, I can't save my dollars and hope for more because they can print them away. I can save my Bitcoin, just like I do dollars, but there isn't anyone to inflate it away, though we hope. Yeah, there's 21 million of them. So, hold them or don't hold them. I mean, even though there's a lot of people holding them, there's tons of transactions going on. Tons of transactions. And again, Bitcoin may not be the only currency, right? I mean, you have the United States currency, you have Japan has a currency, and Germany has a currency, and Russia has a currency, and pretty much every single country. Well, I think, yeah. I don't know if there's one that well, there might be some that only use others, but I mean, as far as my little peanut brain goes, without doing extensive research, we can pretty much assume, right, that all countries have a version of their own currency, right? So yeah, maybe Bitcoin won't be the only like awesome currency in the digital world, but again, just like you hear right now, just because we have the dollar, right, doesn't mean there isn't other currencies. And just because Japan has their currency, there isn't other currencies that other people find value in or a reason to have those or use those, right? So you'll just have a Bitcoin currency. It only has, well, really like 19 million because of the ones that have been lost. There's just a Bitcoin digital currency out there that can just be used. So hopefully that kind of maybe changes the perspective on it some. Made a fat stack on the coin put today. Nice. Yeah, Laura, I'm sorry, and if you could you tell me what could you guys tell me what the lag is? Because, I mean, I'm not really sure. I mean, I guess I could open up another browser and figure it out, but yeah, let me know what the lag is. But again, it's set on the highest setting for the quickest streaming, though I could probably do a little bit of changing of the settings in my streaming software, but it's probably not going to make much of a difference. And it's not like my internet's bad, obviously. Okay, so it's got to be 10 seconds, maybe 15 seconds or so. All right, I'm going to delete this stuff off just because it's kind of getting a little crazy. But yeah. So, also I just want to kind of emphasize, guys, that the market is in a sell move, right? So you're really not supposed to be long biased the market today after the price of, and I don't want to entirely, but yeah, I mean, pretty much since 10:30 on the SPY, you're not supposed to be long biased. And since the time of, and I'm going to delete this stuff here, and since the time, it was 10:32 or 10:31. Yeah, and since the time of 10:23 to 10:22, you shouldn't have been long biased the market. You should be more bearish the market, right? Because the markets have entered selling operations. So again, we're not long bias trend narrative in the market. Now, for those of you, which there should be quite a few of you that have been on the stream with me over the past like week or 2 weeks, right? We talked about, hey guys, the market is long bias. We're staying on the long bias narrative. There's no reason to change. There's no reason to change. So right here, I'll put a vertical line on the chart, Alt V. So Alt V is when we said, hey guys, the market is bullish. You're supposed to say long bias the market. Yes, there can be pullbacks, but your long bias trend. Today at 10:31, Alt V, ready? I'm not talking about the VIX right now. I'm talking about the SPY, but we did cover the VIX many times today, and I could more than gladly go over it. But yes, there's a buy signal on the VIX, which basically started the sell signal on the market. So again, go back to here. This is when we're supposed to be long bias the market. Then today at about 10:31, we flipped below. You can see, ready? Do you guys see it? So you went above the 50 SMA, and today what did we do? We went below. So trend is positive, trend is now negative. And if we zoom into the micro, what happened is that yellow line is when we flipped the market negative. It was not about breaking down this random horizontal price level or this price level or any of these levels. The selling is, I don't want to say it's irrelevant, but the selling really is not built off the back of any of these like random horizontal, no. It is today was the day that we flipped the trend negative. And as a result, we go bearish. And as a result, you will see things like this break and not hold bounces because we're on a sell trend now. But yeah. Right, so we'll kind of recover it because, I mean, yeah, it's important stuff. I mean, it's pretty much how you can learn to time the markets a little better, right? And if that helps you, then awesome. So we see that the market went down, right? So we broke the 50 SMA today, okay? Now, we didn't know that it was going to break the 50 SMA until the 50 SMA breaks, right? Like, you don't know something's going to go down until it goes down and kind of like breaks a level that maybe would convince you that, okay, the market's a little downsided. But you do know that if the volatility index enters an uptrend, then arguably there's a reason to maybe pull the market back because we know that those go hand in hand. When volatility goes up, generally the market comes down. Or when the market goes down, generally volatility goes up. What you also know is that the market doesn't necessarily have to go down for volatility to go index to go up. So you can have situations like today where this morning pre-market this morning pre-market, which I guess it was kind of down a little bit, but this morning pre-market, you'd see that the SPY kind of started up, then it kind of came down a little bit, but there wasn't really like anything too crazy. But you notice that the volatility index was up massive, right? So the volatility index had a massive gap, and then also it broke over, like we said, the 50 SMA. So this morning at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, though the market wasn't really selling off and the market hadn't gone bearish below the 50 SMA and entered a sell move, the volatility index did. So again, the volatility index this morning at 3 a.m. said, hey, like you could be entering a buy signal on the VIX, which we would assume, if successful, will result in a pullback on the market, right? So the process here is you wake up, the market's not in a sell signal, but the VIX entered a buy signal, and it's trying, right? Okay, so if volatility is going to increase, generally the market will pull back, right? So volatility increased, we saw the market pull back, and then it broke down the 50 SMA and triggered an intraday sell move. So this all started with, again, this morning, early VIX gets positive. As a result, it creates a little fear in the market. You get a little bouncing ball roller magoo, and right there is when you get the market to break down the 50 SMA. And then it enters a sell, which so far has lasted till here. And what was here? Here was our old support, a level that we would call support. or I would call support. Okay, so again, you have here Bitcoin still holding that daily support we talked about here at 97,443, or yeah, 97,400 something. Nice, easy, beautiful. Shorted NQ since some 945 made 70 points today and closed it all. Beautiful, I love it. So yeah, I mean, as long as you guys kind of understand that that today's move was, so that's the other thing too, is when you think about it, all right, think about, and you may do things a little differently and like to look at things a little different than me, and that's 100% just fine. So the way that I would view the market is, woke up, you had to look at the VIX, so you had to watch the VIX, then you had to use a 50 SMA strategy on the VIX. And then in order to know that the SPY broke down, you have to watch the SPY or the SPX and then use the 50 SMA strategy on the VIX. So you'd have to watch those two different markets. Then you'd have to watch the same 50 SMA tactic on both of those markets. And then you would have to use the old buy signal strategy to know where the bottom could have been at today. So a lot of, there's at least, I mean, there's more than that, but heck, there's probably 8 different strategies used today on today's price action to kind of understand these movements and where they could go to and why they would be doing what they're doing. Granted, was definitely confused for probably the first 30, was it? Well, to 10:30, so it's almost the first hour. So yeah, basically like the first hour is like, I don't really know for sure. Then once, again, the markets broke down, at that point you know the VIX is confirmed at least some bit of sell move and the markets got whacked. And then also, too, here's something we haven't talked about on this stream yet since I got on, which was at the same time the markets were going down, or sorry, at the same time the market such. So this was really what confused me today. So this is what I was kind of like confused about today, was I saw the VIX was in a buy signal. So I'm already kind of like, well, if we're going to hold the buy signal, it's like we should kind of look for a pullback. But also a buy signal could fail, so I'm kind of looking at the market internals. So, you know, right in the morning when the market opens, right, when we look at the market here and the market internals, the Nasdaq started long, okay? The FANG were pretty much just sideways on the day. They weren't really doing a whole lot, so they weren't really contributing to much of a long or much of a short. The NYSE was pretty much flat to start, flat to down. The SPY issues started basically up/flat, right? So up and flat. And then if you look at the NASDAQ 100 issues up here, or the NASDAQ issues, sorry, they were kind of like up to flat. So you wake up this morning, you have a VIX buy signal, so you assume the market's going to go down. But also markets can't just go down unless, again, usually market internals are bearish. So you have a signal to be slightly bearish the market. But the market internals aren't saying the market's bearish. At least not yet. So you're just kind of sitting there. And then the price action of the market to start was kind of wonky. You had divergence on both markets. So you had divergence on the QQQ and the SPY this morning, where the QQQ was going through a bounce, but like none of the FANG names were really bouncing. So again, it was we started this morning where it took a while to really get on board with the bearish kind of move, even though we were signaled by the VIX really early, because once the market opened, all the market internals weren't like truly bearish enough for me just to be like, yeah, we got to slam this, right? It took a second, and then it was like, oh yeah, this thing's cooked. Because again, you got a buy signal, and then the market internals started confirming it, right? It was like, VIX tells me to be bearish, but the market isn't saying that yet. And then eventually they started moving bearish, and you're like, okay, she's cooked. So that's definitely the whole way I've thought of this morning's market. Crazy B, appreciate that. So, yeah. Yeah, let's see it. And Oscar, if you're still on. I've slowed my trading dramatically. I don't trade everything I see these days. And then, pretty much just kind of moving more into the space of teaching a lot of the things that I know and see. And if you find value in it, you can kind of use that for yourself. But don't really want to dictate anyone's trades anymore for that matter, and force someone into something because I'm seeing something. So again, merely just trying to show strategy and edge and things that work. And that's pretty much just it. And if you find value in it, great. I mean, that's pretty much all I'm here to do. And really, and that's pretty much the objective of what I try to do. I try to show at least some degree of foresight analysis and, things that are going to happen before they happen. And then that's for you to kind of see the value in it. So it's less about me showing you have to do this, have to do that, but merely things that work. And hopefully it's through kind of undeniable price action where you will see, me say, hey, I think this is going to come next. And it happens. So it's more or less about teaching the edge and the strategy, and hopefully it'll kind of lead you in the right direction. But yes, I did many of that stuff. But again, it's a lot of times because I've slowed my trading down dramatically. I won't trade all the same things. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, again, you have to search a lot to find. Again, they don't. It seems like the algorithm just hates us, and that's okay. All right, Laura, have a good day. And the other thing too is there's a lot of great traders on YouTube where you can go and watch their streams, and they might be doing some live trading and stuff. Again, really just the objective of my stream these days is to hopefully provide actionable, legitimate forecasts and analysis. And pretty much my objective every single day is to come in and at least provide, whether it be on this stream or a private stream, is to come in and provide a handful of things that are actually going to happen, to price targets that are actually going to happen, and let you know ahead of time. That's really the main objective that I focus on now with the streams, which granted was probably one of the hardest things to do, was actually figure out ahead of time how things can actually move and then have them actually happen time and time again, and then be able to provide that to people in real time. So that in itself is not an easy job. So that's kind of what the objective of the stream is really foresight analysis, which is probably the most impossible and hard thing to do in the market, or at least we've been told that. And so it's trying to buck that narrative a little bit. That's awesome, Goat. I appreciate that. Yeah, so there's just a lot of different edge and a lot of different strategy you can come up with, and you just got to kind of figure out what you like. But again, I'm just gonna come out and just hit you with we're not long biased the market. Now, when we first got on the stream, we did talk about there was a tradable long bounce, support, wherever that was. Hold on. Bitcoin. Wait, not Bitcoin. SPY here. I don't have it on the chart anymore. I forget the prices, but it was pretty much like something like that. Basically, that was your intraday support bounce, and you could take that long, and there's obviously little mini targets, but basically suggests that support here, and then as you get to here, that's where you want to lock your profit on that trade. Since then, you haven't really done a whole lot. You went a little higher, then you pulled back, and so you've kind of just hung out there. Yeah, try to be the weatherman. Try to be the weatherman. Well, and I just kind of thought it was, I don't know, I kind of find it cool. I don't know, I've just grown a passion for just basically I don't know, maybe it's just the way my brain thinks. I love analyzing the market and trying to see things before they happen. And that was kind of it was kind of the biggest thing for me is like, is like, if you could figure, and it's not always right, obviously we get it wrong. And like, just like today, I was like confused for an hour because like all the stuff that I know is like, this is just nothing is making sense right now. I'm looking, the VIX is up and market's not dropping, but stocks are like kind of going up, but not going up. And then all of a sudden the market gets smacked on a candle, but no equities are moving down. I'm like, what the, like, none of this is making sense. Which is making perfect sense, right? Like none of it's making sense, so it makes sense. It's like all the things you're looking at that should be moving the market a certain way isn't happening. So it's like, what, right? Versus looking at it and be like, oh, like yeah, this totally makes sense. It's like no, like actually nothing is currently making sense. So like today I was straight confused for like an hour, and then I'm like, oh, okay, now it like it's coming back in order. So yeah. Took a lot of time behind a chart for that. So Steve, what's up, Connor? What's up with the move today? We feeling another dump? I mean, there's always a potential. I don't know. We'll see. Actually, I should probably look at some others. I don't feel another big dump. It just doesn't feel like that. It kind of feels like they're gonna buy this bottom up and roll it up, but. Again, that's kind of like that's the trying to buck the system, right? So when we say, oh yeah, I think the bounce is going to hold and it's not going to go down anymore, it's like that's trying to basically buck the system, which works at times until it doesn't, right? But if we look at the SPY right now, we know undoubtedly 100% that this thing is not in a positive trend right now on the 30-minute. Yeah, it could be so I should check the 1 hour too. And we're still over the 1 hour, so yeah. You usually don't have dramatic sell-offs on the market unless you actually get below the 1 hour. The 30-minute kind of starts the move, but unless you're below the 1 hour, you usually don't get dramatic sell-offs. So that being said, it's just you can't be bullish the market unless for whatever reason you think it's going to fully reverse. Then sure. If you have reasons to believe that like if you have reasons to believe the market's going to recover, then that you can do that. But then again, you're going against the system. So the system says right now that you're not positive. You're actually negative, right? And that happened again at like 9 or like 10 o'clock something today. So we got the system says we're negative. So until we get back into an uptrend, it's going to be harder to get positive longs, unless the market just randomly reverses. See, that's what I mean. It's like unless it just wants to reverse, you're in a selling move, right? Versus letting it get back into an uptrend, and then you'd have better likelihood that if you bought a dip, it goes back up. Because right now you'd have to basically be buying the selling market and hoping that it's going to reverse. And then the other thing too is you have confluence, right? So this isn't like the market is selling off. So it's not like we're pulling the market down and we don't have a buy signal on the VIX. See, if you look at the volatility index, which I should bring up on this chart here. So if you look at the volatility index, we know that the volatility index is also in a buy signal. So it's not like the market's in a sell signal and the volatility index is not acting accordingly. It is. All right, so you have VIX is in a buy signal, market's in a sell signal, right? Like that makes sense. Like that totally makes sense. What wouldn't make sense is if the market was in a sell signal and the VIX was in a sell signal. Then that would tell me that the sell move is probably fake and going to get bought up, right? Because if we go into a sell signal on the market, but the volatility index, the volatility market isn't implying volatility, then it's like, why are we really selling off in the first place, right? Generally speaking, if you're going to have a decent sell-off, a decent sell signal, you at least want some degree of confluence amongst the markets where the VIX is in a buy signal and the market's in a sell signal. If it's the other way around, you have a sell signal on the market and a sell signal on the SPY, that isn't confluence, then you scratch your head and go, well, if the VIX isn't going to pick up, then the short's not going to last. And then it's going to get bought back up again. So right now, again, we are more of a bear market, by all means. And again, there's a couple things that we watch to kind of dictate when we might start to transition back to, like, I call it a reset long. So if we're going to reset the market back to a long, then I generally say minimum we have to get back and sustain above the 1 minute volume selling trend to 5 minute trend. So if we look at where the 1 and the 5 minute intraday sell trend are from the sell move, it would be from here down. So it's going to be like here to here. So right there. And we've kind of flirted above both for a second. You know, it's still the market. It can kind of be funky and whatever, but until the market sustains above this, that's the maximum long. So that's why when I first started the stream and I mentioned there was support here and you're going to first target the 1 minute and then you should close your long here for the intraday trade, was because that's the best case scenario. This is the best case scenario. Bottom bounce long target for the market to then still stay in a downtrend. So like we basically ran up, yeah, to a degree. There's a little more to it than that, but we started a sell move here. So that tells us that the green volume weighted average price, this red box, that is the intraday trend down. So if you're lucky enough to take the downtrend and bounce it on the day, it's likely you'll come back into this trend and it still stays down. Now, if at any point we can reset that intraday trend, then yes, we can reset the market back to a long, which then that would be what? A full reversal versus just a bounce rolling down, right? So literally the level that controls the continuation of the intraday downtrend is the same level that then dictates the break back up for a full V reversal. And that's how the market always perfectly stays somewhat confusing, is your key levels become over, under. So literally the level that dictates the long back up is the same one that dictates the continued down roll. And that's how you always keep the market kind of on edge, where it's like, well, I mean, if we break over, we could do this, but if we stay under, we do this. Yeah. So that's why the market always seems to be like that, is that a lot of times for a full reversal, you're going to be right at the resistance. So hence the, like, you know, you try to break it out, and then it does, and then you roll back down, right? So a lot of times the same levels you need to break out to reset stuff higher end up being your resistance, and vice versa. So vice versa is this morning, and I will show you, not Bitcoin, but SPY, or yeah. So real quick, if we look at our last, so we're gonna go back to this right here. So this bottom right there, that was the last test of the 50 SMA. So let's just say algorithms control the market and blah 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 blah, algorithms and, you know, what have you, and then the market confirmed the long off the 50 SMA back here. So what I do is I watch the old long, right? So today we started a sell move because we broke the 50 SMA. And a couple weeks back, we confirmed the continuation of the long. So we actually have to start from back here. And I might as well I'll just delete all this and we're just going to redo it from scratch. So go to here, right? So that was when the market broke over the 50 SMA and got positive. So this whole, again, so the analysis that we're using for today's intraday low bounce all starts from back here. So that was November 20th. Literally, think about that. Today's low bounce analysis comes from the date of November 20th. Because we know that on the date of November 20th, or maybe the 21st, we started a long move. So the market gets positive. And then we know the market doesn't get bearish unless it's below the 50 SMA. So here we do what? We come down to the 50 SMA. It tests, holds a bounce, does not go below and go bearish. So it confirms the long. So the trend stays long. So whoever in whatever volume wanted to keep the market long bias decided it was okay to do so back here on this low off the 50. So now I go, that's a very significant point. So I'm going to track the volume weighted average price from that point and extrapolate it forward so that whoever controlled the bounce here, that's their volume shelf, which is how I was able to basically predict today's little bit of a low target short eventually. It took a while to get on board with that one, but it's always in the back of my mind. And so we basically took, so it's like it's a new system going with the old, right? So it's kind of like out with the in or out with the old, in with the new type jazz, right? So this was the old buy off the 50, right? And we have today, right here, the new sell below the 50 targets the old buy trend. So effectively, this sell move has come down and it's starting to toy with the volume weighted average price of the previous confirmation long. That's a lot to take in, but it's really just new volume attacking old volume based off the same system, just kind of opposite, right? The 50 SMA was used for the bounce a couple weeks ago. The 50 SMA broke down today. So we're going bearish today because we're below the 50. In what better way than for the market to go bearish down below the 50 and basically screw with all of the volume shelf of the previous long buy? I know it's a lot to take in. But yeah, so today's little bottom bounce long in the bearish sell move was based off the old buy. And that was from, November 27th. And this was all derived from November 21st. So we're using strategy from November 21st to dictate just that little bounce today. At least I am. Not like everyone in the world. I wouldn't expect most people probably, again, the more mainstream I make this and tell you guys, the less it's going to work. But again, since our stream only is allowed to get about 37 people, 35 people, 40 people, it won't get too mainstream. Now, again, if for whatever reason we had 6,000 people viewing the stream each day, then this stuff would probably stop working. And then I'd probably have to kind of figure out some new stuff in that regard. But yeah, since there's not a whole lot of you guys that watch the stream, then they, it won't become too popular. Yeah, so Steve, that was actually on to answer your question. So when you said, what about the dump? Like, it took a while to get on board with it, but I mean, the target that is, but pretty much again, since like the early morning SPX breakdown, like that's where we were bearish, assuming it can have continuation down. And then I picked targets of like this green zone right here. This is where I was like, okay, I think the market's going to come down here. But then when it gets down there, you can look for a bounce, right? So now this is kind of that intraday roll attempt of continuation to the downside. So when you talk about another dump, it's like, I mean, it can always do what it wants, but we've kind of hit that first initial target down where we kind of thought of today. I mean, there's more than that, but yeah, so we had a good move down. If you wanted to be bearish, you had to be somewhere bearish around this high for the moment. And then we never got the 5-minute, did we? So we're probably doing a 5-minute target roll here. Let me just double check. I could be wrong though, or we already hit that. Oh, we already hit that. That's where we hit it, duh. So we already got this guy, which then means we just transition to 15, then 30. So if we have continuation now, kind of back towards these lows, really the market's going to target back to this 15 to this 30, which is just basically back towards lows. Nothing too special there. But yeah. Honestly, I wouldn't even mind seeing this market roll all the way down to here and then bouncing. But we already put in a pretty good bounce there, so you'd have to take out all the support created here. Maybe not the easiest thing to do. So yes, I do. I personally believe the more that something is used, the less likely it will work. And it's mainly because we know that the market moves to and from liquidity, right? So another example would be if everybody is shorting something, it's less likely to go down. They're probably going to squeeze that volume out first, then it would go down. So if you take a strategy, right? Let's say there was only one strategy in the world that got taught to someone, right? And it was you do this and you buy this dip right here. So now majority of everyone in the world is buying this dip right here, right? It's probably the system, the game would go, oh my gosh, there's all this volume coming in right here, and then we're just going to go the other way and liquidate them first, right? So I do believe that the more of something that is used, the more volume that comes into that spot at one moment in time would then be kind of used in the opposite direction, which kind of goes against the concept that if like more people are buying into something, then it just keeps going up. I kind of think it's slightly different than that. I kind of think it's like the more people that short a top, the more you're going to get squeezed, right? Or the more people that go in to buy a dip all at the same time, the volume would drop below that, stop out, then go type idea. But you never know, I guess. I just think again, the more people that pile in all at one specific moment in time, it's just like the system knows, right? The system clearly knows, like, oh, everyone's shorting right here, like, go the opposite way, right? Like, so it's like, whether you want to call it market makers, whether you call it brokers trading against your order, like, whatever, right? I think that if there's too much of the public going in on one specific idea, especially if it's like a micro thing, then it's so easy for computers and algorithms to easily like hit the bid on you and then jump the price above your short, right? So if you're doing, too many people are doing like micro stuff strategy, easily one candle can whip you guys out, right? So I do believe the more people that pile in to a specific thing, especially in the micro scale stuff, can more easily get pushed out of a trade. So the more, you teach something, the more likely it is to maybe not work in that regard. Okay, well, appreciate that. Again, so Bitcoin really just doing everything we thought it would do, which is basically probably going to bounce and then again, probably continue down. So far that's working. We'll see if it continues to work. And again, our targets on the downside are going to be here to basically here. Does that mean I want it to go down? No, I just see the potential for it. And just because I have these targets down doesn't mean that I'm not still bullish. This is all just kind of some smaller, I don't even call it, yeah, it's smaller term stuff. But, we're still expecting the market to hang out for another, couple hundred days potentially. So even though we're like, yeah, maybe it's going to go down to here, it's like, yeah, these are just arguably support shelves down that we expect it sells to and then could still kind of get bought up. Nice. Yeah, and as far as like this as far as the Bitcoin market goes, I don't need to take all of it off, but I'll take off this vertical line. It always kind of makes the price look weird. Yeah, I'll just keep that on. But yeah, like this right here. Like this is a huge level that I'm watching, right? Like that's a big level that we're watching. If we go to the daily chart level, which I have a line there, that's a huge level we're watching. All of these levels on the downside are expected pullback levels at some point. Basically, at some point, you'll see these things will collide together, and then a trade can be created in that regard. Even the breakout, right? So the breakout here, that's another key level we're watching. So for me, like these are all expected support points and sell targets. Again, your supports, if they're supports, what happens? Usually the market goes to them, right? And then that means it sells to them. And then when the sell move is complete, a long starts, right? So yeah, these are all desirable points for the market to roll over to and then still get bought up, right? So I mean, I have targets as low as here. So if at any point the market wants to get enough weakness, not hold supports that are up here, and go lower, it can come to here, bounce, come to here, bounce. You know, it could do any of those. Yeah. I don't. So I track breakouts too. I mean, you can clearly see like right here. Here's the top. Here's the breakout, somewhere around there. So if I'm anchored to here, that's because I'm tracking the breakout. So knowing that when this broke up, everyone that buys, if we bring it back down to here, we will effectively take everyone who chased the breakup out of the game. And when I say out of the game, it's not that they sold or didn't sell. It's just, if you think about how everyone chases a move up, right? Their volume, the volume weighted average price is going to increase with it because they're not buying the breakout. Most people don't buy the breakout perfectly. So they're going to get caught somewhere up on these candles. And then if we roll them over, whether or not they sold or didn't sell, it just means that all of the volume that bought up is going to be either underwater, they're red, or back to break even, or maybe close to a loss. So they're getting like on edge, right? Just before the market's going to go back up again, right? That's how the market likes to work. I am using the lowest candle. Again, so you have here. If you're talking about like back here, that's just because I don't foresee that being on the table right now because the market broke out. So if you look at, let's just go back to this weekly. Again, if you take this weekly chart, again, you broke out here. So there's a lot of volume and everything that got pent up in this move. So I'm more curious about this breakout and everything that's kind of happened here as opposed to anything like down here for the moment. Not really. Justin, I mean, if you're talking about something different than like the VWAPs, not really. Monthly balance, daily balance into consideration. I don't know if that's like an ICT term. I know like, you know, there might be volume imbalances, things like that, and taking a weekly or daily back to balance, which is probably, I could be saying this wrong, but that probably has to do with like something like, would that be it? No, that wouldn't be it. But like fair value, like something like right here, I can see this. Here's like a daily fair value gap, right there. Here's a daily fair value gap. I think, yeah. So if that's what you're talking about, then no, I usually don't look at stuff like that. Not that it doesn't help, not that there isn't value there. So yeah, I think continuing forward, I'll probably try and hop on here, at least do like a 1, maybe 2-hour stream, just a little stream after our private session each day. If you guys want to hang out for a little longer, gonna kind of extend our workday a little bit, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so pretty much it. Again, there's your 5-minute support hold off lows. So it took a while, but you can clearly see it there. I mean, it's not really a surprise, I guess. But as far as the SPY, you can kind of see how we're creating the higher low scenario where we took a little bit of a longer support, 5-minute bounce, curled down, and right. So we're kind of holding the 5-minute low support there, and one could say the same thing, that the market went up here and we're just kind of taking that split spot, and so we're just holding that little bit of a higher low leg on the bottom there. That doesn't mean anything other than just that, take a look at SPX here. SPX again. And the other thing too is, again, we're still below the 1, the 5 minute sell trend. So, yeah. Another good way of saying this is, for me to think that the market is going to go back, and it kind of depends on how long it lasts, the sell move that is, but until we start to break above the 5 minute selling trend of the SPX, we're not considering the market's going back to the 50 SMA. So this right here is the 50 SMA. And really the market just goes back and forth from uptrends to downtrends, uptrends to downtrends, uptrends to downtrends, right? Before it's in an uptrend, it's in a downtrend, right? But before it's in an uptrend, it has to go up and cross the 50 SMA, right? So this is what I call the reset. So for me, when the sell move starts and we're bearish, it's bearish, 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 until A, it finds an oversold support, like here we called, or the reset. And the reset being a price point at which I feel the market will reset from the low bear side back to test the 50. Because again, anything that's bearish will eventually go to an uptrend. Okay? Before it can go to an uptrend, A has to bottom. Before a bottom can fully reset to the 50 SMA, it has to hold higher lows, right? And it has to break above what I call the reset level. So every single sell signal follows the same rules, and every single buy signal follows the same rules. It won't always look exactly the same, but the rules are always the same, which is market goes into a sell move. Markets will stay bearish until A, it flips into a buy signal. But before flipping into a buy signal, there will be a bounce, and the market could sell off big and have a huge gain before it even becomes positive, right? So the only way to predict in a sell signal a huge bounce is you have to have a really good oversold support, all right? So an oversold support is a different strategy in trade than going into an uptrend on a buy signal, right? So each sell signal is the same in that it goes into a sell move. Eventually the market will bottom. It always does. So it hits a bottom, so an oversold support, and bounces. But I will not think that the oversold bounce has the strength to go to the 50 SMA reset, resetting back to the 50. So going from a downtrend, then resetting back to the uptrend dictating level. We don't expect a reset. That's what I call it, the reset, until it gets through. If the sell signal just starts today, it has to be above the 1 and the 5 minute trend, and only at that point is the market have the potential to reset the 50 SMA. Otherwise, the intraday stays down, okay? And the sell signal remains. If the sell signal's been on deck it's been going for 5 days now, then at that point, we're less focused on a 1 and a 5 minute, and we're more focused on like a 30 minute. But the 1 and the 5 minute still hold value. So you can basically say that until the short selling volume levels are squeezed, then the market won't reset to the 50 SMA, okay? I know that's a lot to take in, but it's extremely valuable. And, and here's the jam is like, if you had bought this low, then sold into the intraday trend, and then you watch it reset and go to the 50 SMA, you'd be like, damn, I missed out on so many gains, right? So you could be kind of annoyed. What if you bought the bottom, the market resets the intraday trend, and then it starts a new uptrend, and then it goes on an uptrend for 2 weeks? Then you'll be really mad. Again, this is the market, and never is anything perfect. you could see the opposite. You could buy a bottom, not sell at the intraday trend, and then it goes into a full-fledged sell signal for 3 days. And you're like, damn, I should have sold and took the money on the bounce. So the only way I've been able to successfully kind of maneuver the market in sections is by mapping them off and kind of giving them their own kind of playing field, which is the sell signal starts, market goes down. If we reset the 1 and the 5 minute, we have the potential to reset the 50 SMA. But until that happens, you kind of have to assume it hasn't happened, right? And you can have an ideas of when things might reset and when they really shouldn't. You can kind of build that internal intuition, and even then it will still be wrong. So anyways, that being said. Right, and again, you can see the breakdown, right? Look at, like clearly there's like a, whether you want to call it like some sort of head and shoulders kind of rollover here, right? You can see today what we broke the 50, and there goes your sell move. So a lot of people will get caught off guard and go, oh, like the market, you can see it was rolling, and then it came down here, so it went below this support, so then we sold down to this support and whatever, right? Again, really, it was just the market went below the 50 SMA today because of the VIX, and so we started a sell move today. So we sold the market down. And until you take out that reason for selling the market down, you can't reset the market a lot of times. So, like, this is a scenario where we are going to... Ooh, let me double check one other thing. So if we're going to reset, again, our target... I always say there's a lot of targets, but again, we're going to be looking back up to the 15 and then the 31st here. So if we can squeeze out this 5 minute, 1 minute trend, again, these are kind of small things, but you're going to go up to this 15 minute, and then we're going to target back to the 30 minute, and then objectively you got to clear the 30 minute to get the 50 SMA, blah, 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 blah. But again, we're kind of hanging. And again, there's no guarantee on this right now. But, we did come off a nice support, so it's kind of the only reason I'm even like considering it. I be drawing way too many dumb things on my chart sometimes, so we're just gonna not do that. And there's again, like we said this like last week during streaming, there's a big well, like we talked about Bitcoin being 800 days out. There's a big trade where I'm kind of thinking of, but again, it's 800 days out. It would basically be the next Bitcoin cycle bottom, which I did this time around. I just didn't hit it as hard as, you always hindsight 2020, you should have bought more type stuff, right? So basically planning 800 days out from now, our next big, Bitcoin accumulation spot, and that would be a big trade. And when that time comes, I'll let you guys know. But that's kind of one of those more of a bigger play that I'm planning out well ahead of time. So if the cycles repeat at least one more time, then would be amazing. But I feel like the market's going to be not doing that again. But if it does do that again, then even within a 70% confluence of the last time, then we'll hit real big. I already did pretty well in this Bitcoin cycle, but again, it's funny. It's because like I kind of like developed the Bitcoin strategy kind of like just before this Bitcoin cycle, and slash like all of it through this Bitcoin cycle. So it's like if I would have learned everything I know now about it like 2 years earlier, then that would have been special this year around. But I did okay. So. Yeah. Again, same scenario here. I mean, story's never really changed or hasn't really changed. We're just staying bearish below the 1/5 minute intraday trend. And, side note too, again, the reason we talk about the resets and the fit, like, it's just because, again, you always have to have that kind of understanding of like what's the opposite side, right? So I know we went into a sell move. What if the sell move didn't continue? Well, I'm not going to sit here and just like let the market go all the way back up without some thought as to why and where it could go and when those things get triggered. So, and this is, you know, and actually easy, this is good for you if you're still in here, easy win, because I've seen Twitter posts from you or comments where you're like, heck, we're in a sell signal, and then it only lasts like 4 hours, and then it goes right back up. Like, this is like picture perfect time, or what we've been going over specifically for those comments you left on Twitter. So let's say we have a short-lived sell signal where it sells off for the day and then it gets bought up and it reverses. Like, this is exactly what I would watch for that scenario. Is this 1 in 5 minute trend? Arguably the 30-minute, but usually that's used more of like a couple days after. Usually if the sell signal starts today, you watch 1 in 5 minute predominantly, okay? Hence why I have this red box right here. That's the 1 in the 5 minute volume trend, right? So you predominantly look at those short-term 1 in 5 on the day the signal starts. And if it's going to be a quick like 1 day sell signal, then reversal, that's the over under you follow. If you really start cranking above that, then then stop being bearish, right? You can just chill out, right? But as long as it stays below that, you're okay for the moment in the short term. Nice. I did not freeze. I'm just sending a text. Give me 1 second, guys. I know. Oh, I gotta check something here. For some reason, it's so odd. What? Wait, so weird. Why did that not just, I don't know. Huh. Weird, weird, weird. Okay. Yeah, so last week also the first time I bought calls on SPX last week because I was expecting I was expecting a sell signal. I even got. It's kind of I'm kind of slightly confused because you said you bought calls because you thought we were gonna have a sell signal, or maybe you thought we weren't gonna have a sell signal. And then PMB Soccer, if you've got a bunch of so yeah, so basically me and my buddy Brandon we're planning for 2026, somewhere into the end of 2025, beginning of 2026, maybe midway. We're expecting by the end of 2025 into 2026, that's where the market is going to finally kind of correct and start pulling back and maybe getting bearish again and so on. Like when we say bearish, like actually extended selling moves to the downside. So if you're sitting on the sidelines with cash and all this, and you want to deploy, but you're afraid of inflated prices, which most everything is, then you're going to want to wait for a market correction, which we're expecting is somewhere into end of 2025, 2026. And then same thing with crypto markets, end of 2026, beginning of 2027 is where our expectation is. Now, yeah, so that's kind of what we're thinking. So if you want to deploy a bunch of cash, then either you have to find something you think either find some stock that's amazing that ain't going to go down, or you got to wait for a market correction, then pick up your favorite stocks in that time, or the ones that have the most cash on hand, so on and so forth. Oh, okay, gotcha. So you anticipated the sell signal on the SPY by buying calls on SPXU. But okay, so this was last week. I don't know exactly when it was, but well, actually I kind of do, because if you told me you thought we were going into a sell signal, then that means you basically bought puts somewhere around whatever day this was when we did the 50 SMA backtest. So you were probably buying, maybe you're buying puts somewhere in here with that drop. Or buying SPXU, but I would probably say, well, then again, you wouldn't expect that the SPXU calls would go up if the market wasn't going down. So you had to have bought prior to that low. So anyways, really what I would say is if you're, I keep saying it the opposite way. You would expect your options on puts. So let's just say puts for a second. The volatility index hasn't been uptrending yet. So like we just started uptrending on the VIX, right? So today would be a day where like the puts on the market or probably the calls on SPXU are kind of boosting up a lot because the implied volatility is actually increasing, right? Because we're over trend. Whereas maybe last week when you were messing around with the SPX calls and maybe the market went down a little bit, there wasn't a whole lot of volatility actually baked into the move because a lot of the pricing on options and gains that you make come from a jump in volatility. Or Vega volatility, however you want to think of it, right? So a lot of times, a lot of the price appreciation for an option can be built off the back of volatility of the option, which also comes from the market being volatile, which then comes from the volatility index actually being volatile, which a lot of times that doesn't happen until the volatility index itself is uptrending. So I would say a lot of what you're telling me kind of is built around the volatility index being in a downtrend, so it wasn't a super volatile market, so maybe you just didn't get the price appreciation backed off the price of implied volatility increase or Vega jump on your option. Yeah, so we'll get back into here like a little 5-minute chart. So again, same story as it's always been. We're probably at the 15-minute trend or the 30-minute trend. Did I do that on the SPY? Yeah, there it is. So again, you see how we kind of just rolled over, sold off now down to 15-minute, arguably the 30-minute trend right there. You see that little 30-minute trend, Dinker Magoo. So again, right there, we said about 20 minutes ago or something, like, yeah, if the long fails and rolls over, blah, 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 you're going to go see the 15-minute and the 30-minute trend, which would just basically be right here, right? So right there, literally almost to the penny. So that would be the 30-minute trend. So the same way that we use the 1 minute. So look at, ready? See how the 1 minute anchored to lows, and arguably I would anchor like this. All right, so you see how the 1 minute anchor off lows, the 1 minute trend retrace, right? All we're doing right here was now what we're doing right here is the 30-minute retrace right there. As defined by, gosh, I have to put them on, but then I always get them all these damn lines, and it screws everything up. Kind of dumb, but you know, what are you gonna do? So here's your 30-minute retrace. So this is actually, it can be used as a decent support. Again, I'm not really on board with it because, again, and it already was, like, I would say, like, it's already been used as a decent scalp support. Now, if the long turns into something off this, cool, but this is kind of one of those situations where, like, you know you're in a sell move, so you don't put a ton of emphasis on these little intra-micro supports. Like, yes, you had the 1 minute trend support here, and it led to a bounce and a bounce. And you got the 30-minute here, but you know the greater trend is a sell move, right? So we know we started a sell signal today, wherever, somewhere up here. So the greater sell move is at hand right now. So you're not as optimistic on these little like bounce levels because the greater moves down, and we know that the trend doesn't reverse as long as you're below this levels. And I have an itch on my back. Yeah, so so again, I would probably just say it's based off of, like, let's go, I don't know, like let me take a look at SPXU. All right, so let's see. And like even if we look at SPXU right now. So like right here, look at SPXU. You said Friday, so this was so Friday. Yeah. So like look at today, SPXU finally crossing its 50 SMA. So again, you can see like it's finally getting up. And you'll see they created like a little head and shoulders just before it, right? So we're finally getting a little positive on that trend. Not that it's going to amount to anything super crazy, but you can see it right here. we did the reversal is actually here, all right, where we went from oh, I didn't want to do that. Yeah, you can see it's right there where we go from like a lower low, lower high to a higher low sequence, and right as we get and it's not perfect, but you can see how pretty much the breakout is like right at the 50. It happens a little before it, but you can, never is it going to be perfect, but you can clearly see like just how the market was bearish, and then just a couple days ago you start higher lowing right before the 50 SMA break today, which makes sense that it did it today because, you know, SPX went bearish. So if you time this all up, it's probably about the same, which means this should be broken down like right about like 1022, or this should have broken up right about 1022, 1021. Yep, right there. You can see it's 10, right, clear as day, right? So look at SPXU. It got positive over the 50 SMA about 1021, 1023, which again is literally the same exact time that SPX went bearish below its 50 SMA. So if we look at where it's bearish, which is, wait a second, did I have that wrong? No, I must have moved it right there. Something like that. Yeah, I know, yeah. So right about there is where the market went bearish, right? That's 1023. So again, it's the same thing. SPXU flipped its 50 SMA to go long bias, same time SPX flipped go bearish, which is really how it should be. It won't always be that perfect, but it makes sense. Yeah, see, like your calls are up 40% today, right? SPXU went into a buy signal, so the system is buying more calls. So like you would assume, and I don't know for sure because I'm not looking at it, but you would assume that if today we go into a buy signal on SPXU a little bit, and yes, the SPX went bearish, the volatility index is now bullish, the option premium is juicing up because now you're getting volatility, and then there's probably more people buying into those options. So now you're getting like an increase in open interest or increase in interest along with them, and so on and so forth. So you're just like a tad too soon, arguably. Not wrong, just a hair soon. And I would say to you, to alleviate some of that next time around would be to use more closely the VIX and try to, you know, kind of better time and kind of gauge if you're going to use something like that where your options need volatility, to kind of better time the increase in volatility on the market. So we tried it on Thursday of last week, but by Friday, look at what happened Friday. Ready? So like last week we said they shot up, ready? And we also got data, but if you go back to Friday pre-market, you had a breakdown in volatility. So right here, this little line, this horizontal line, that's the 50 SMA on the VIX. So if we go here, right? So you see, Thursday we were kind of creeping. So like Thursday I was on stream, I'm like, hey guys, like we might top the market, which we did a little bit of, but like we just didn't get the right volatility to hold. And then going into Friday morning with the data that came out, which ended up being positive, or a positive reaction for that matter, that positive reaction caused the VIX to go into a sell signal on that day. It was short term, and look, by Monday, we're back up over and back to a long. So on Friday, the positive jobs data, I think it was, ended up creating obviously, it shot up, so volatility got killed. But it put the VIX into a downtrend. So you knew on that day, at least, volatility was down. So if you were going to be trading something that needed volatility to be up, you could have but then again, you didn't have the opportunity till the market opened, and it's, you know, not a perfect scenario. But yeah, I would just kind of add on top of that on Friday you had a downtrend start on the VIX. Short term, obviously. And like today, volatility was back on. Yeah, the volatility index is something you just gotta be patient with, and just know that, you know, it sometimes doesn't move a lot, obviously when it's low, but the levels are important. Like look at today, look at the result. I don't know, the market I don't know how much the market lost today, but quite a bit, 608 down to 604, so that could be that's billions and billions and billions. So, you know, just by the VIX simply entering a little uptrend, you know, we've wiped billions off the market today. And, you know, yeah, I'm not even going to add on top of that, but yeah, never mind. See, like this right here, I can already see it. It's either going to be the 1 or the 5-minute reset. It's probably too high for a 1, but I already did the 1, but see that, like right there. Previous sell leg down on the micro, counter long bounce back to 1-minute trend. So if we take all of this leg down, there's almost nobody that's still short that leg that didn't get squeezed out. It's just not possible. And the reason I say that is because I know that most people didn't short the high. They didn't short here. And you see where the rush comes in. This candle breaks down. So this would be where most people start chasing that move down. Popped, high or low, reset them. They're all out. And that's what the market's objective is to do. Is basically move to and from, micro trend, bigger trends, take people out. Because the market's objective is basically to just provide liquidity. Provide an in, provide an out. And the one way to do that is just move stuff. Keep it moving. Keep it grooving. Man. Weird. Oh, analytics. Real quick, I was just going to pop this on just so you guys can visually see. As per usual, a little bit of a top, a little bit of selling action there with XRP as XRP comes into basically its known technical analysis resistance point right there. So there you go. So should be pretty on board with, you know, that having some sort of reaction on the sell side after such a long move to the upside there, if anyone's paying attention to that. Shy. Interesting. Oh, that's right, because we're using QQQ. That guy. Roll this guy next. So that's not been tagged. And it was split, so it's a weekly split, but like this right here is a weekly pullback target. So next time we get like a legitimate sell signal into the market that brings us down even, you know, a couple percent, we're basically going to be targeting back to about here for now. And it never is it always perfect, but yeah, we're basically going to be targeting a pullback down to about there. Last time we used the QQQ market, it seemed more effective. So like even the QQQ market, the first kind of weekly pullback levels that we'd be looking at, it's kind of a goofy looking setup. It's not super amazing, but I mean your last red week, I mean this one's kind of weird, but these would be 3 specific price points I would watch on the way down. Doink, doink, and doink. But yeah, so this is just not set up amazing, just because of how kind of awkward some of this flow is in there. But yeah, those are pretty much the. And let me double check SPX. Yeah, so for SPY, nonetheless, we're basically looking down to like that will be one of our next targets down. No, I mean they're I don't tweak it. This whatever the settings are on the TradingView version, that's exactly what they are for that guy. But yeah, so our next kind of rollover market downturn, kind of watching that 594 to 585. That's some weekly stuff. The daily would come before that. Obviously, we'd have daily rolls to here, and then arguably the last red candle and split up. So these would be like kind of our current daily pullback targets, which obviously we pretty much have completed within a one-day move. So these would also be daily pullback targets, which are down to here. Nonetheless, yeah, that's good stuff. I think we'll call it there for the day. I think you guys are pretty much up to speed. Yep, the title's correct. Again, VIX triggered a buy signal, resulting in a SPY, SPX sell signal. So the market is currently on the bearish side of trend. That does not mean that the market won't bounce and, put in another lower high and then go down more. It doesn't mean that it can't fully reset, things like that. Because a lot of times we'll get into sell moves and, everyone's like, oh, we got to short the market. And then it doesn't last long and then it just goes back up. And that's because the market can transition pretty quickly. So you have to be on top of it. You have to watch it, so on and so forth. So yeah, we're currently in a sell move. Just because you're in a sell move doesn't mean things have to go down instantly for you. So yeah, unless you have a reason to believe that the market is going to just put in some mega reversal, you either are just hands off, or you're waiting for a pop to short reset, or the conviction to reverse the market long. And if you don't want to do any of that, then you just wait for the next market buy signal and participate on the long side. Also, since we don't expect the market to really go down until the end of 2025, maybe into 2026, then it is more likely that your sell signals don't have follow through if we expect a intermediate bull market for the next year. If we're going to have a bull market for the next year, that means things aren't going to really go down too much. Therefore, every pullback would more likely be short-lived. Thus, expectation of sell signal does not last super duper long, right? Also, throughout market history, markets have normally gone up and normally appreciated while spending less time selling off. So, if you're going to look for sell signals, always use them as more of a shorter term thing that's resetting the market down, because markets naturally go up. Therefore, buy signals tend to work better than sell signals because markets naturally go up. And when you're in a bear market, your sell signals you can have more conviction in because the longer term trend is bearish. Thus, when a shorter term sell signal is activated, the likelihood of follow through is a little better than when you're doing sell signals in the short term in a long term buy. I know it's a lot to take in, but hopefully it helps. And yeah, I will catch you guys back maybe tomorrow at some point. Cheers. But yeah, I'll probably start doing some of these streams back to back. So you can just expect to show up, maybe around, like lunchtime area. Probably be streaming by then. Do a couple hours just like this and then rock and roll. So you guys have a good one. Cheers. And we'll catch you in the next one.